What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's going on, friends? Last night, Josh. Yo, I got something stuck inside of my iPhone. Like, I don't know if y'all can see that. It's stuck in there. So I can't put my charger all the way in. So I don't know whether I need to file a claim or if I just need to get a wireless charger or what. I don't know what is going on, but first world problems. What's going on, friends and family? How do y'all feel today? Yesterday was wild. Last night was wild. You have those shows occasionally. I'm not sure what happens when it happens. Sometimes I'll be feeling guilty though, honestly, to be honest with y'all. I'll be feeling guilty. Wireless chargers. Somebody said wireless chargers. Yes, I am at MGM. Wireless chargers are slower. They are slower. That's a problem. That is one of the problems. They are slower. However, I got to figure something out. I don't know if I need to go to the Apple store. I don't even know what's going on. Is it an Apple store somewhere around here in Springfield? I got to figure something out. So there's something stuck in there to where I can't push it all the way through, but I got to figure that out. So anyways, and then I was trying to use this or something like that to get it out, and then I messed it up even worse. First world problems. So what's up, friends and family? How y'all feeling today? I can't see it. I can't get it out because I can't see it. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I am glad to be kicking it with you guys. I changed my chair around from the black one right there over to this circular one, this nice circular chair. And so I'm chilling. Got my hoodie on, or I got my hoodie on. Got my hoodie that I'm about to be chilling with. It's a nice gloomy day out here, but we gonna see what's happening. I am enjoying Springfield so far. The people are nice. The environment is cool, and life is good. I am enjoying Springfield. So I don't have on bare thighs. I have on pants. All right, I have on pants. Anton, what's going on with the ashy elbows? I'm a working man. That's what happens. Black skin get a little bit more ashy. You want me to put some moisturizer on my elbows? Okay, well, we're going to get there. All right. Always keep a pack. Always keep you a pack. Deodorant, even in your book bag. Deodorant, lotion, toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash. Always keep a pack in your book bag. Always keep a pack. They trying to get on time, dog, today. Everybody paying attention to the details. What's going on with your elbows? How do your beard got lint in it? Are you using a cocoa butter lotion? Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that we fix ourselves so we not dusty out here. Y'all so gay. Y'all so gay. Men don't have overnight bags. That's only for women. It's no such thing as an overnight bag. You just got to make sure that you stay clean. Got to be able to brush your teeth after you eat when you out to eat. Want to make sure that you know what I'm saying, get some deodorant on, get some stuff on your lips, and you good. Y'all so gay. Why y'all acting gay? Don't be gay. Get your Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. Shout out to everybody that tuned into the Patreon live stream last night before we went on after hours. The hotel Wi-Fi is a little bit sketchy as far as how fast it is. So I had to actually upload it overnight to restream because I cut out the beginning of it when I actually put the advertisement on by mistake. And so I had to upload it. And so now that is available for anybody that wants to restream. Ox says, Anton's candor is so appreciated. Yeah, you know, I got to keep it real. Got to talk to the people. Got to tell them exactly what I'm thinking so that they don't get cute with me and that we can get straight to it. All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? There's a lot of knowledge. If you're not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description. It's more to come. It's a lot of knowledge. Lots of knowledge. Let me read some of these super chats and we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. ATuck413 says, to elaborate on a city of firsts. Oh, and before I do that, I am exceptionally late today because I had to make sure that I got some stuff uploaded and the internet is slow. And then I had to run down and get breakfast and then I couldn't find my ID. So yeah, that's kind of what happens. But we don't miss, so we still gonna live stream. ATuck says, to elaborate on the city of first, it's the first Springfield, first automobile, first machine lathe, first armory, and the birthplace of basketball, Smith & Wesson, and the Springfield rifle, and original Fire Friendlies, or is it Friendlies ice cream on Boston Road? Well, I'll be exploring today and tomorrow before I got to do a live stream. But then tomorrow I got a whole day of being able to explore and see what's happening in the city. So thank you, A-Tuck. I appreciate you. J. Ben says, if 7 years entanglement can be classified as common law marriage, a decade plus of loyal friendship commitment does qualify for a trade of skins. I agree. Maybe I'll include that as the conversation tonight because I couldn't understand it. I think that if you are a friend for somebody or with somebody of the opposite sex for over 10 years, then a complimentary exchange of skins absolutely should be a part of that conversation. Disappointment in 2K last night, says 392Q. 2K is 2K. We love 2K. Quinn says, I need PTO after last night. Molly, I love you. Supreme by Nature TV says, top of the morning. Glad to be a part of the GMSITW. I don't know all of the acronyms. I'm sorry. The Market J says, Anton, I currently work a 9 to 5 brainstorming business ideas. My question is, if I'm maxing out my 401k and my Roth IRA, what would you recommend my next move be? I'm a bag chaser on the Patreon. I've been watching older videos. That's when you start to allocate your money to go into the brokerage account. Once you max out your 401k, once you max out your Roth IRA, because now you get the deduction or you get to reduce your adjusted gross income, that's when you start to have money going into and dollar cost averaging and going to your brokerage account, because now that's when you start stacking for your businesses and for real estate or whatever, right? But that's what I would recommend you do. That's when you start to allocate monies into your brokerage account. Throw everything into your brokerage account, everything. And then remember when I was talking to y'all last night in the Patreon and I was saying that you can start to leverage your assets to loan against it at a deduction, because they can't tax you on money that you borrow against your assets. They can't tax you on loan money. But that's coming in another Patreon. Shout out to everybody that was a part of the live stream last night inside of the Patreon. For those of you that did not catch it, it is re-uploaded. So make sure that y'all go and watch that. Jerry, the Patreon live stream was absolutely hidden. Jocelyn says Dementia Joe need to keep essing on himself. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to go again? You like that market? Okay, cool. I answered your question. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to get started with the show? All right, let's jump around. Hold on, let me see something. I can't even see my cash. Shout out to Mike, that dude. Shout out to Carrie. Shout out to everybody that support me on Cash App. I had to switch the device that I'm streaming on because this one ain't taking a charge, and I want to make sure that you know what it is. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Ida B. Well says we need to pray. Yes, ma'am. Lord, bless us today. Bless us to be focused. Bless us to be faithful, and bless us to be fruitful. Focus, faithful, fruitful. Focus, faithful, fruitful. Say that 8 times fast. Focus, faithful, fruitful. Focus, faithful, fruitful. Bless us to be focused, faithful, and fruitful on this Friday so that we can be productive. I think I'm going to curate a lighter show for after hours tonight. I'm not going to curate something that causes people to want to crash out or to go back and forth and none of that stuff. I don't want nobody getting upset. I don't want nobody bothered. I am going to make a nice, light stream so that Quentin doesn't have to take PTO and that Molly doesn't have a reaction video about her and Carrie is not saying who you checking, boo. And Slimmy is not saying what? And and Kim was looking real good last night, and Mika is gonna be over there nice and quiet like a church mouse. I am going to make sure that I curate a phenomenal show tonight to where nobody is going to have any problems, and then we're gonna go into the weekend nice and slow, nice and cool, and nobody's gonna have no problem on after hours. So again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. After hours tonight. I need to get another black t-shirt. I got like 400 black t-shirts. After hours tonight. All right. It was pretty crazy. I exposed a firefighter cheating on his wife. Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. All right. Let me tell y'all what I got on the docket. I got 4 in the possible. All right. No, I got 4 and 2 possibles. Maybe 3 possibles. We playing spades on the Millionaire Morning Show today. All right. I got 4 subjects. First, we're going to go over to the reaction of the family of Tyre Nichols and his mother talking about it. We're going to get into that. We got to get into Trump. Well, I'm sorry. We got to get into Biden. So Biden is now having books being written about him and about to be released. And he's taking blame about Kamala Harris losing the presidential election. And the books are being written about him talking about his mental capacity and whether or not he was able to even be president in the first place. So we're going to get into that. We also got to get into, let me see what we got. Bernie Sanders is taking L's. Fox News host was holding him accountable for taking private flights and blaming billionaires. Trump names a new interim prosecutor. JD Vance says Putin is asking for too much in order to be able to end the war with Ukraine. And Bill Gates, I really look forward to the end of the show where we're going to talk about Bill Gates. Bill Gates is saying that he's going to give away all of his wealth, every single dollar by 2045. Is Bill Gates even going to be here through 2045? All right. They're saying Biden is the GOAT. All right. Okay, I see you. You're the same one that was asking about my ashy elbows. I don't like that. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. Again, I am going to read super chats throughout the show. Jason Jocelyn, shout out to you. I appreciate you. Quinn in the building says Kim ain't coming tonight. I don't like that. They call me Mr. Bibb. Says I enjoy listening to old girl tell Jazz she was privileged. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Man, get Kim on the line tonight. I ain't got time for this nonsense. She was looking good last night. All right. All right. Let's start here. Tyre Nichols. You know what? I was going to say something about Tyre Nichols, but Slimmy, we already mad, and I don't want Slimmy to be madder at me. Well, he don't be mad at me, But Slimmy, you know, he not feeling the best. It seems like Slimmy has been a subject a lot of times. But what I was gonna say is, with the height and the length, Tyre Nichols kind of. Tyre Nichols kind of remind me of Slimmy a little bit, as far as like the lengthiness and, you know, the wiriness and, you know, the frame and the build and all of that stuff. That's what's, you know, Tyre Nichols kind of remind me, like his whole look, the hat, the shirt, all of that stuff. Tyre Nichols kind of remind me of Slimmy a little bit. That's all I was gonna say. Nothing major. Kind of remind me of Slimmy. Anyways, Tyre Nichols is not short. Let me see. Tyre Nichols. Oh, he was 5'11", almost 6 feet. No, some people saying he was 6'3". They say he's 6'3". So he is tall. Tyre Nichols was around 6'3". I'm confirming it on multiple different posts, including CNN, New York Post, all of that. Tyre Nichols is 6'3". So what are y'all talking about? Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the show. I am going to share let me switch this over. We don't want to get no ads into what we got going. All right. So we want to go over to the family and get their reaction to the verdict, and then we're gonna go from there. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it, y'all.
Yesterday, Tadarius Bean, Justin Smith, and Demetrius Haley gave another kick, a deadly kick, to Tyre Nichols and his family. But we
Sound like church.
stand
Sound like church.
with this family to lift this family up in prayer. And to call on the God of justice to deliver real justice for Tyre Nichols. But we were not under any illusion yesterday or last week in trial with an all-white jury from Hamilton County in Chattanooga. We were not under any illusion.
Yes.
But it just wasn't any white jury from Hamilton County. It was the most racist and the most redneck jury that they could have ever found to preside over this case in the matter of justice for Tyre Nichols.
Do y'all know how jury selection works? Have y'all ever watched a movie to understand exactly what jury selection is? All right, so let's hold off for a second. Number one, the people that were on trial was all black. I am not a person that actually believes that Tyre Nichols should have died for what it is. From what I see, from the evidence that I've been presented, from the footage, the body cam footage and all of that, just looking at it on the surface, this is a situation where I am not in favor of cops. However, I am also a fan of the justice system. And if the justice system is innocent until proven guilty, says that the three were not guilty, but then two of them had already pleaded guilty to something different, then I have to say that I'm going to rock out with the justice system, right? But let's be clear. The cops that were being prosecuted were black. So how did this become a racist issue? So just because the jury selection process includes both the defense and the prosecutors. So the prosecutors and the defense They're the ones that vet and determine who's going to be on the jury, and then they can eliminate people based off of what they think their bias is going to be. So if he was acquitted, if the cops were acquitted amongst the jury that was selected by both the prosecutor and the defense, and the cops were black, how did this become another race issue? Again, one of the things that we were saying last night was we were glad that this isn't going to be a race issue because the people that were on trial in the first place were black cops. So if it's black cops, how does this then become a race issue? I don't understand it. So now they rednecks, but do you see what we were saying? Because again, this goes back to the conversation that we was having when we was talking about what's her name? What's the name of the lady? I forgot what the lady's name that had called the kid the N-word, which was also egregious. But one of the points that was being made was black people a lot of times, even when it's not a racist issue, black people a lot of times have no problem calling white people out of their name. Let me say it again, because I know that it's the part that don't nobody want to say and everybody want to get uncomfortable and they're going to feel some type of way about it. Black people regularly, whether you a preacher or you a drug dealer, they have no problem calling white people crackers, rednecks. They do it on public TV. They don't mute it. They don't blink it out. They don't do none of that. They have no problem calling white people out of their name. And nobody says anything about it at all. Nobody says, nobody blinks an eye. Nobody trips about it. And I be wondering to myself sometimes because I'm black, right? So of course, I know that we can get away with saying some of the most egregious things. We could say all kind of stuff and get away with it. I could say all kind of stuff and nobody is going to check me, boo. Ain't nobody going to say nothing to me. But what I be wondering sometimes for all of my white people that's watching this right now, when y'all get called redneck and somebody say it with their chest, or they call you a cracker, or they call you a anything, I don't know, ghost, who knows? How do y'all be thinking? Like, do y'all be thinking like, man, that is so critical, but I can't say nothing because I'm actually white and the system is in the favor of black people being able to say whatever they want to say about me? Do y'all be tripping? Do y'all trip when they say that? Do y'all like get mad or do y'all get bothered? Do y'all think that it's hypocritical or anything? Curtis, you ain't got to announce it. You can just leave, big dog. You ain't even got a profile picture. We're not tripping about it. We're going to have an uncomfortable conversation and we're going to pose a question. Do y'all get offended when people then say stuff because this is not even a race issue? The people that were on trial were black cops. They weren't even white. Imagine if they was white, this mug would be, that whole city would be turned upside down. Everything in it would be bothered. What would be burned down? Everything in the city would be burned down.
It is what it is. The prosecution, they did their job.
Yes, they did.
But when you still live in America, that they don't see black people. They see police and they see blue.
Right.
And yesterday was a result of an America that has not changed. And it seems like we're living in a world, we're living in America that's not going to change. Yesterday, the whole world cried out for Tyre Nichols.
Yes, we did.
This city cried out for Tyre Nichols in sincerity. But we had a few folks who had some crocodile tears.
That's right.
We had a few folks who had a few fake tears.
Yes.
We had a few folks in the city of Memphis
Yes.
that represent the city of Memphis,
Yes.
like Mayor Paul Young. Oh, you're not getting off the hook today, sir.
Yes.
You're not getting off the hook today, sir.
Yes.
We came to call you out today.
Yes.
What does the mayor have to do with this verdict? I don't understand what the mayor got to do with anything. If the state prosecuted and the jury was the ones that acquitted them and said that they was not guilty, what does the mayor have to do with anything? Why does the mayor have any role whatsoever in whether or not your son should or should not have lost his life, whether the police officer should or shouldn't be guilty? What does the mayor have to do with anything? What? That's why I don't like being around people that's emotional, bro. Honestly, I don't like being. What's the point of this press conference? How do they? What happens in this press conference? What are they looking to solve? Are they looking to create a riot? Are they starting to, start a movement? What's going on here, guys? What's happening? Somebody bring me up to speed and help me to understand exactly what this press conference is supposed to achieve.
We came to call out Chief of Police CJ Davis. You're not getting off the hook today.
Yes. She need to be fired. Fire CJ.
If you're real and you love Tyre, you don't need no goddamn prompter.
Come on, all right.
You don't need no script and go on social media and talk about your care and concern for Tyre Nichols and these citizens. Mayor Young, if you love Tyre Nichols, you would have got rid of CJ Davis.
Yes.
I thought that all of the police officers actually got fired. Didn't the police officers get fired? I'm like 100% sure, like 99.9% sure that they got fired. And then the first thing that they did was they released the body cam footage to the public because they wasn't trying to hide anything. This is weird, bro.
Her unit that she brought from Atlanta and created the Scorpion unit right here in Memphis, Tennessee, that produced a Tadarius Bean, a Justin Smith, a Demetrius Haley, a Emmett Martin. Huh? It is her that produced that.
Yes. And fail the train.
My Lord.
So we don't
I
need
feel you, Dixie girl.
no crocodile tears from leadership. We need real change, real love, real support in the city of Memphis. This city is hurting.
Yes.
It's not hurting from the lack of money.
Yes,
It's not hurting from the lack of education.
Yes, it is.
It's not hurting from the lack of DEI. It ain't hurting from that. What this city is hurting from is from the lack of love.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Anton from AntonDaniels.com has heard enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's a spokesperson for the family. Apparently, he's race baiting, and he's saying that, we have to get down to lay down and no crocodile tears. Everybody is going to get lashed out at. It's everybody's fault. It's the mayor's fault. It's everybody's fault. It's black people's fault, redneck, white people's fault. Everybody's going to catch this L. I'm so tired of the race talk, honestly, bro. I don't know if I've aged out. I think I've aged out. As a 43-year-old man, I think I've aged out of the whole race talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is race. Everything is evil. Everything is black and white. Now it's a redneck. Now the jurors is racist. All of this stuff. It gets old. It really is old. Like, it's tired. People are tired. People don't want to keep going through this nonsense every single day. And so they going to do their thing and they going to do their press conference. But I'm going to just say prayers up for the family, because I do not believe that boy should have lost his life. But I don't think that this is a race issue either. And this is the way that you start to rile people up to get them to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel with turning your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats. Jamaica says, Wagwan AD. I tried last night, but are real estate investments, REITs, stocks that have dividends, a good option to get in the real estate market without the fiscal burden of property management? I don't like REITs. I mean, I've heard some REITs are pretty profitable. I've never invested in a REIT myself. I'm not a fan of it. I like the actual physical real estate itself. If you're going to invest, listen, you don't want to invest in a REIT just to be able to get into the real estate market. You'd be better served getting into an ETF, right? Or getting into the S&P 500 or investing in an individual stock or a mutual fund itself. If you're going to invest your money, then invest in something that has a really nice return, while at the same time, it's going to be something that's successful and you can actually look at the conference calls and see exactly how they're going to play it for the future. I don't like REITs. REITs is not my thing at all. So I wouldn't get into it. I would just invest in a regular stock. Night J says, watch 12 Angry Men. I appreciate you, Night J. Shell Shock says, I was about to say, how is this racist when it came to when it's the same race? They be loud and protesting when hoodlums get deleted and everybody baby is a saint now. Kiwan, what up, Kiwan says, blame the folks who intentionally got out of jury duty. Jury duty is actually a privilege and an opportunity to help render justice. High Tolerance says, good morning, AD and the Bag Chasers. Is even worse when stories like these flash across the TVs at work. One Bag Ship says, happy Friday and great day to get some money. Facts. Lee Barton says, man, what's going on with Ye and that song about Hitler? Honest questions. What is the agenda behind it? Well, he released something on Apple Music or something? Let me see what's going on. I'm done with Ye personally. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Like, I know it doesn't matter. My little dollars don't mean nothing or nothing like that. But I'm not a fan of Ye. Ye is not. He's lost the plot, in my opinion. What's up with this Andre 3000? Y'all seen this? What is Andre 3000 doing? 7 piano sketches? Let me see.
1. Bluffing in the snow.
Is Andre 3000 learning instruments and he just playing it for everybody else? What's going on here, guys?
2. And then one day you'll.
I'm good. I'm good. I know he had released the Flute album, but yeah. Yeah, we gonna pass on that one. So shout out to Andre 3 Stacks. We like Andre 3 Stacks. And shout out to him for living a life that he want to live. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass on Andre 3 Stacks. On that particular album, I'm gonna go back to Southern Playalistic Cadillac funky music. Some people just don't need to speak publicly, says Thomas Taylor. The Ross Report with Darby says, I know him. His name is Kareem Ali. He's the lead investigator for Ben Crump. Makes sense now. I'm a 30-year-old GC, and he hired us to remodel his home. Cool guy, very passionate. Shell Shock says, where's Pastor Project Pat? FP says it's racism. It has to be, or am I supposed to blame myself for my failures? Limitless Mind says the only thing missing from that press conference was him passing out the collection plate. Yeah, it's old. And it's a trope for them to be able to make money off y'all, and y'all don't even realize it. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel with turn on your notifications. Let's go over to Biden. Let's go over to Biden, and let's talk about it for a minute. So Biden recently made an appearance on none other than The View. Now, I am not a fan of The View. I have not been reviewing The View. And so him and his wife pulled up on The View in order to talk about Kamala Harris. His wife was talking about whether or not Biden actually was functional enough to be able to run in the White House, or if he was just being controlled, what was happening. And so I'm going to share a little bit of that with you guys, and let's have a conversation.
Before the release of a book that I and reporter Alex Thompson wrote about the cover-up of President Biden's cognitive decline. The Bidens are back. They gave their first joint TV interview since leaving the White House, and former President Biden had some harsh criticism for his successor, President Trump, calling President Trump's return to power, quote, the worst 100 days any president's ever had. But Biden also took responsibility for the role he played in returning Trump to the White House to a degree. CNN's Arlette Saenz has this look at the Biden's return to public view.
Former President Joe Biden back in the spotlight and denying claims of cognitive decline while serving in the nation's highest office.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
The 82-year-old former president sitting with the host of The View for the entire hour, defending his time in the White House and handling of the 2024 election.
The only reason I got out of the race was because I didn't want to have a divided Democratic Party.
But it was his wife, former First Lady Jill Biden, who offered the most forceful pushback and denied shielding her husband from public view.
I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches. He wasn't hiding somewhere.
Biden's round of interviews this week comes ahead of the release of several books expected to examine Biden's mental acuity and his decision to seek re-election.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance. That's how much I was paying, okay? I picked up the car a few months ago and watch this. Ready? $97 premium. $20 were my fees.
Are they really showing an ad right now?
Now
That's not cool.
His disastrous performance against Donald Trump in a CNN debate set off a wave of panic among Democrats, with prominent party leaders privately and publicly urging him to drop out of the 2024 race.
The Democratic Party at large didn't buy into it, but the Democratic leadership and some of the very significant contributors did.
Polling before and after the debate showed a majority of voters, including many Democrats, had doubts about his ability to serve another term, not just defeat Trump. And almost 4 weeks later, Biden ended his campaign.
Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered.
The move left his vice president, Kamala Harris, with less than 4 months to wage a campaign, a fact Biden got wrong today.
There were still 6 full months.
Biden says he's not surprised Harris didn't win, blaming her loss on sexism.
I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
But Biden...
It's so funny that he says that because, and I was saying this yesterday, that how is it that we then say that the right are the ones that was creating this narrative that says that a woman shouldn't be president of the United States of America? That has never been the case. As a matter of fact, that's one of the few things that Trump didn't say, because you know Trump has no problem with saying that's on when it's on his mind and to say, hey, listen, I don't agree with this, or women is this, or this is that, or whatever. Trump made a concerted effort to never attack her gender as a part of the race. Trump made it a point. Is no way in the world he did not at all ever mention gender as a factor for whether or not she should be president of the United States of America. He said that she was incompetent. He said that she was crazy. He said that she didn't know what she was saying, but absolutely no way in the world did Trump ever attack in any way, shape, or form the gender part. Now, I said it because that's what I truly believed. And I said, listen, I don't think that a woman should be president of the United States of America, but if I have to pick a woman to be president, it certainly wouldn't be Kamala Harris at all. Now, here's the thing that I did see in the election, and everybody's seen it. The people that made it about gender was the left. The people that made it about gender was not the right, it was the left. That's a fact. All I seen was women. As a matter of fact, Michelle Obama was the first one that I really seen publicly say it. And she was saying on the campaign trail, go against your husbands. Do not listen to them. When you get in that booth, you're in the booth by yourself. Make sure you vote for Kamala Harris. Don't worry about what men are saying. Kamala Harris, vote for her. That's what Michelle Obama did. And then Barack Obama came and backed it up with his stupid behind. And he was the second person that really made a big deal about it and bring it to the forefront. And he was like, I can't believe men wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. We need to get over it and all of this other stuff. That was exactly what happened. It was Biden stepping down at the time that he stepped down so that he can give her an excuse to making it, to act like she lost because it was a time thing, and it wasn't. She didn't lose because it was a time thing. We knew who Kamala Harris was. We knew what her record was. She had 1 million interviews. Had nothing to do with that. Nothing whatsoever. And then Barack Obama came in with his big head, and he came in through the trying to lecture people, talking about he didn't even believe it. It later came out that he didn't even believe that she was the best candidate for the job. And he was trying to hold off to try to have some form of a, some kind of a runoff and a Democratic National Convention to determine whether or not there would be a better candidate for president of the United States of America, because he didn't even believe in her. And then he came in and telling black men, talking about we needed to vote for her and we need to stop being so misogynistic, because he knows, as though he connected. Like he out here in these streets, like he really in Chicago. He knows that Kamala Harris is like, man, get the hell out of here, bro. So it was the left. They were the ones that made the big stink about her being a woman. We all knew that she was incompetent. It wasn't because she was a woman. She was just incompetent in general. And we also seen that they all gave and threw a whole bunch of support behind her as far as being a part of the Divine Nine. Shout out to all of the sororities, and then they made it about black and white. Y'all used every single diversity, equity, and inclusion talking point to try to get Kamala Harris elected to be president of the United States of America, and none of it worked. We seen through that nonsense. We seen through the BS, and we was like, no, we're not going. She's stupid. I even seen people say that they would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard before they voted for Kamala Harris, because she the one that ended Kamala's career the first time. It's just the truth, bro.
And now acknowledging his own role in Trump's return to the White House.
Do you take any responsibility for Trump's reelection?
Yes, I do, because look, I was in charge and he won. So, I take responsibility.
Now, former President Biden has really laid low since leaving the White House, but we've slowly started to see him speak out, including criticizing his successor, President Donald Trump. One thing that is occupying a lot of Biden's time right now, he said in that interview on The View that he is working on his memoir, something he's been asked to deliver in the coming year. But it all does come at a time when there is a lot of discussion within the Democratic Party about how involved Biden should stay, especially as they are trying to rebuild and look ahead to the next crop of leaders that could lead the party. Jake.
I know about it. Thanks so much. Let's bring in somebody who was there at the table for President Biden's interview on The View, CNN political commentator and View co-host Alyssa Farah-Griffin. Alyssa, congratulations on the interview. You asked President Biden a number of tough questions, and I want to talk about those in more detail. But first, what was your general impression of President Biden, what you heard from him, how he spoke, et cetera?
And this woman right here that we speaking to, she a fake Republican. She tried to straddle the fence. She the Charlemagne. She the Stephen A. Smith of The View. She straddled the fence all the time. She tried to act like she a Republican, like she's going to be the voice of reason and all of that stuff. No, she a fake Republican. She been going against Trump for years, and she been talking shit a lot. And so now she want to try to act like, oh no, I'm really conservative and I actually stand for it. Let me tell you what, objectively, no, you're a Republican in name only. You're a rhino.
Listen, this is the second time I've interviewed President Biden now. And the one thing that really struck me from the moment he got to the table was he and his team are clearly very aware that his legacy is being written right now. And they feel and have this strong sense that they need to fight back and shape the narrative. He immediately got into rattling off accomplishments from his term in office. And I think it's in breaking with a lot of past precedent from other presidents who generally let their legacy breathe and kind of go off into the sunset and let someone else come into their role. So there's a very keen sense that if they don't get out there, someone else is going to write their story for them. And Jake, I have to say, like, I directly asked them about books coming out, thinking of your book that's coming out. I think this is something his team is thinking about and concerned about, and they want to be able to shape as much of a narrative in advance to get ahead of stories that you may be breaking in it.
Yeah, the book, Original Sin, comes out May 20th, so that's 12 days, I guess. Let's play part of that exchange.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into.
All right, we're not rocking with that. I don't know how this keeps, too much going on.
1 week and
consistent campaign.
Thanks so much. Let's bring in somebody, I guess. Let's play part of that exchange.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number one, one of the things that
look up Biden.
Well, I'm
Well, and Alyssa, you know, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those
Why is she speaking for him? Why did he turn to the wife so that she could start speaking for him?
one of the things that well, I'm
well, and
talking too long.
Alyssa, you know, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
So interesting observation, as if historians have to live in the White House in order to write about the White House, about any sort of presidency.
And Alex Thompson covered the White House.
Yeah. Alex covered it quite extensively.
That moment, I think, it jumped out to me. I'm having worked in the first Trump administration. It's not just the people that absolute closest to the president, by the way, like a spouse that has an idea of what their general mental health is like every day, their ability to do the job, if they're stumbling in meetings.
Andy.
There's quite a few aides, if given access, who should have access to those things. And part of the question I asked and another colleague did is, was there an effort to kind of keep a tight-knit circle so any of these slip-ups wouldn't get out to the public? And my general sense is this: listen, he is an older man. He acknowledged, look, I would have been 86 had I won a second term. He doesn't shy away from that. He does have slip-ups. That's something we've seen with Joe Biden. But I think this was very much an effort to signal I was fully in control when I was in office. And he kept pointing to, I wouldn't have been able to pass these many things he's proud of if that weren't the case.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just completely compromised. I don't believe that Joe Biden at any point was really in control of what was happening inside of the White House. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go from there. KB says, she is controlled opposition on The View. I agree. She don't even really have no real thoughts of her own. Moses King says, 80, be honest. Who you choosing, Jasmine or Kamala for president? Neither. You're not going to make me pick amongst the worst. Stephen Butler says, watch the whole Biden clip. He rambled for 2 minutes. Yeah, and they told him not to be long too, and he still was rambling. And then his wife came over to take over because he couldn't handle the interview by himself. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's spin over to Bernie Sanders really quickly. All right, so Bernie Sanders apparently appeared on Fox News, which I have to congratulate him for that. Bernie Sanders appeared on Fox News because he is basically being held accountable for, or people are questioning what his whole situation was as far as him flying private and him going back and forth, him and AOC on this whole oligarchy tour. Okay, the oligarchy tour. And so this is what he had to say. I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to make sure that I reviewed it with you guys. This is what's going on.
With a clearer picture of what we are for.
Our party is unified in making sure that we stand up and deliver on the promises that we've made to the American people.
We can't just be the party that is against Donald Trump. We have to show people how we are providing an alternative message, especially for our young people that are losing faith.
Well, although he's technically an independent, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has considerable influence in Democratic Party politics, of course. He and New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been traveling the country trying to unite a progressive movement that took a major hit, frankly, last November. Senator Sanders joins us live here in studio. Welcome back to Special Report.
Good to be with you.
You wrote after the November 6th election, this: it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class. Now it's Latino.
Obviously, there is
class. Now it's Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. More than
I agree with what that guy said.
That guy said,
go on record.
100 days in, is it the same thing?
Absolutely. Look, Brett, what we don't do as a nation is take a hard look at where we are on the issues of most relevance to ordinary people. Where are we? In the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country. We have the highest rate of senior poverty, 22% of seniors in America today trying to get by on $15,000 a year or less. Meanwhile, the people on top have never ever had it so good. One guy owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of the American households. Most people understand that is insane. That is absurd. There is no reason why we should be the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people, why we have a housing crisis, why our kids can't afford to go to college.
So why do you think, and so our latest Fox News poll, the opinion of the Democratic Party is now at 41% favorable? Why is that? Why is it so underwhelming?
And the Republicans are a whole lot better.
A little bit better, but not a whole lot, I agree.
I'll tell you why. People understand that the political system in this country is largely corrupt, both parties. Why is that? You know the answer. The answer is that you have billionaires in both political parties determine what legislation gets to the floor and who is the candidate. Right now, let me give you both examples. You're in the Republican Party, and you say, you know what? I don't like this Trump idea of giving massive tax breaks to the rich and cutting Medicaid and education. You get up and say that, what happens to you? The next day, Elon Musk says, I got unlimited amounts of money. We're going to run a candidate in a primary against you. Democratic Party side, what happens if somebody says, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to fund Netanyahu's war machine, which is creating starvation for children in Gaza. I'm going to vote against that. Next day, AIPAC is going to be running against you. We have a corrupt campaign finance system. Billionaires in both political parties are calling the tunes. The American people understand that.
You mentioned Gaza. I just want to point out there was a House.
Fair point. That's a fair point. But here's the thing about it. Does Bernie Sanders not take donations? Does he not have a friend for Bernie Sanders that absolutely support what it is that he got going on? I think that this is one of the reasons why I think that we need to have term limits. This is one of the reasons why I think that we need to have term limits. I don't have any problem with what he's saying. But the problem is that Bernie Sanders is very much a part of that same thing. He's a part of the same thing. He is funded by the same billionaires that run his campaign the same way that everybody else's campaign. Bernie Sanders has never had a job. Let's start there. Bernie Sanders has been a lifetime politician. Bernie Sanders was called out by, I forgot who it was that called Bernie Sanders out. And he was saying that, RFK Jr. RFK Jr. called out Bernie Sanders and said that he was the one that was being contributed to the most from the pharmaceutical companies. So how is Bernie Sanders in any different of a position than anybody else? But because he's the one that says it out loud, it makes it seem like, oh no, he's not a part of the system. Everybody else is corrupt. He's the only one that's good. And it's so funny because, again, Congress are the ones that control the purse strings. And so at this time, we see more Congress members actually not being held accountable, and they don't advocate against updating for term limits. And more importantly, they're the ones that's ran this country into the ground. And they're the ones that's advocating the most against Trump actually bringing in the Department of Government Efficiency to make sure that the government is being ran effectively and that we're not finessing. Bernie Sanders is in the same boat. Don't be mistaken.
Hearing on anti-Semitism at non-Ivy League universities today up on the Hill. You're Jewish. You've expressed obviously a lot of concern about what's happening in Gaza. But what do you make about what's happening on college campuses?
Look, anti-Semitism is a vile and disgusting ideology, resulting in 6 million people getting killed under Hitler. But let's be clear. To criticize what the Netanyahu government is doing right now, which is deliberately starving children, 50,000 people have already died. Children are starving to death right now. It is not anti-Semitic to point that out.
I want to play a clip from this BBC interview from former President Biden. Take a listen.
It was a hard decision, but
regrets there?
No, I think it was the right decision. I think that it was just a difficult decision.
But you shouldn't have taken it earlier.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how that would have made much difference.
So should President Biden have gotten out of that race earlier?
But I'm not going back a year.
You're not going back?
No, I'm not. I don't want to.
Isn't that a big part of where the Democratic Party is?
No, it's not. It's nothing to do with Biden right now or Kamala Harris. The question is, what is the fundamental issue in politics? Which side are you on? So right now, you have massive income and wealth inequality. You have the rich getting richer, wealthiest people, large corporations control our economy, billionaires control our political system. The question is, do you stand with the working class, with the elderly, with the kids, or do you stand with big
Well, that's
money?
a great question, because now you have this tariff policy from President Trump. And it's really interesting that some Democrats have now kind of abandoned the pro-progressive thing that they had before, and they're agreeing with the Wall Street Journal editorial page. Do you see that?
Yeah, this is what I think. The idea to say, oh, we believe in unfettered free trade, no tariffs, and some Democrats are saying that, I think that's nonsense. The idea that you arbitrarily one day come up with tariffs on every country on earth for no particular reason, which is going to raise prices in this country, that's also absurd. Not only did I vote against NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, I helped lead the effort against those. Those were disastrous trade agreements written by corporate America, designed to allow corporations to shut down in America, move to China, move to Mexico, and hire people there at starvation wage.
Okay, so let's start here, because this is a great point, and I agree with Bernie Sanders 100% on this point that he just made. Do I need to replay this for you guys so that you'll understand exactly what he's saying? Because what he's saying is what I have been describing to you guys for months. For months. I have been explaining this to you guys and telling you that what happened under the original Bushes and Clinton was disastrous for the United States of America. And every last one of these liberals that come into my chat said, Anton, that's crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. That didn't really happen. That's not what I read in the history books, because I wasn't outside at the time. And even though I wasn't in Detroit, that's not what happened. I have been saying this for months. I've been explaining this to you guys. I have been explaining this. I said, listen, these tariffs are designed to reverse all of the things that the Democrats and the Republicans did before Trump ever got into office. They gave away the country. They gave away our jobs. It's the reason why we are a consumer-only nation. We don't have any manufacturing. We don't have anything here. And I've been saying this for the longest. Bernie Sanders says it, and now you're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you know what? NAFTA was bad. So Trump was the first person to come in office to renegotiate NAFTA, to make it the USCMA or something like that, whatever it was. And now Trump is saying, all right, so we're going to do away with that because that is about to expire and we need to have tariffs and renegotiate how we deal with other countries on an individual basis. And everybody is like, yeah, you know what? Since Bernie Sanders has said it, it may make sense. No, Democrats did this to us a long time ago. They praised Clinton, but they gave him an injection of money because it made it seem like the economy was going to be booming, but they knew that it was going to be a whole lot of famine when they gave away all of our jobs. And y'all voted for him. Y'all sat here and said, Clinton was a great president. Look, he had balanced the budget because he sold you out for your future. He did the exact thing that I have been telling y'all about. He sold y'all future out. He gave away y'all jobs. And you finally got somebody that comes in and make the hard decisions to say, okay, well, listen, we need to have investment inside the United States of America. We need both short-term and long-term solutions so that we don't have an exponential worse situation than what they left us with. And y'all are against it because y'all feeling some type of way about it. Bernie Sanders literally just told you exactly what I've been telling y'all over the last, I don't know how long. Literally just told y'all that. Gave away all of our jobs, killed our economies, killed our cities, killed our states, killed our tax base, and then made us interdependent on other countries and made them rich. That's what he just explained to you guys. And now everybody is just confused now. Everybody is confused. That's how they play on your emotions. I'm going to let him explain it to you again.
Prices in this country, that's all country on earth for no particular reason, which is going to raise prices in this country. That's also absurd. Not only did I vote against NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, I helped lead the effort against those. Those were disastrous trade agreements written by corporate America.
Because Democrats back then wasn't as liberal as they are now. They wasn't leaning on all of the crap that they leaning on. There was some bipartisan agreement, and there was some things that you didn't disagree with just for the sake of being Democrat or Republican. Republicans and Democrats actually think the same, but at the same time, they allowed for, in Congress back then, allowed for Clinton and Bushes to sell us out and give away all of our jobs, and now we paying a price. We are the ones that are paying the price for the sins of the people that came before us. We are the ones that's paying the price for the people that made decisions. And now we not going for it. We not even going to negotiate with y'all no more. Nope. No, we don't want to talk. The time for talking is done. Time for talking is done. Y'all sold us out. Y'all gave away our jobs. Y'all never did the thing that was in the best interest of your future children or your future grandchildren or your great-grandchildren. And now we are the ones that's picking up the pieces for it. And so because I'm wise enough as a 43-year-old man that lived through it, seen it, and also understood what happened in 2008, seeing what played out in 2014, and then absolutely positively was aware of how it played out in 2021, I'm not about to go for it again. This is the last time. And somebody at this point, we are what we are. I'm going to be straight. You're going to be straight. Whoever it is that we decided that we're going to be, what we're going to be, we're going to be what we are. But it's for the people that come after us. Either they're going to hate us even more than we hate the generation that came before us, or they're going to love us for making the smart decisions and making the sacrifices on their behalf. One of the two. But when Bernie said, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Designed to allow corporations to shut down in America, move to China, move to Mexico, and hire people there at starvation wages. Very bad policy. So I believe in selective tariffs to protect American workers. But the broad tariff proposals that Trump brought forth, that is not the way to proceed.
But if he gets some good deals with big countries like India, South Korea, Japan, and others come to the table with proposals, isn't he moving the needle? Isn't he changing the paradigm?
If you do it selectively, if you have a situation where you're protecting the American consumer, when he says, I'm not concerned about toy prices, I think he doesn't understand what's going on for working class families. So selective tariffs that protect American workers and industry, good idea. Just across the board tariffs that raise prices, a very bad idea.
You have this tour with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Fight the Oligarchy. You've seen big crowds.
Huge crowds.
Explain it. Why do you think it's happening?
I think, and by the way, we actually have information on this, Brett. It's not just, I'm an independent. We attract a lot of Democrats. It is not just Democrats coming out to our rallies. It is Republicans. It is a lot of independents. And why is that?
All cap.
I think there are a few concerns. Number one, when Trump gets inaugurated and standing behind him are the three wealthiest guys in America, Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg. And standing behind them are 13 other billionaires that Trump has appointed to head up major government agencies. People are really saying, really? This is a government of the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. People are worried about that. The other area, big deal, is the movement toward authoritarianism. You don't have a president of the United States suing the media because they did stories you don't like. You don't have federal agents picking up college students who may have come from another country, throwing them into a van, taking them to a detention center without any charges being leveled against them. You don't have the president of the United States saying, oh, a judge ruled against me. We got to impeach that judge. That is called authoritarianism. And I don't care if you're conservative or progressive and middle of the road guy. I would hope we all stand together against that movement toward authoritarian. And lastly, you're seeing policies that Trump and the Republicans are bringing forth with tax breaks for billionaires and cuts to Medicaid.
They claim there's not going to be cuts. They claim they're taking out waste, fraud, and abuse. I understand. I understand what you're saying, but that's what they say.
So the eyes of the beholder with waste, fraud. Look,
what do you mean?
You don't cut $800 billion without really devastating Medicaid, attacking Social Security so that seniors, disabled.
How are they attacking Social Security? They haven't taken away one benefit from Social Security. See, this is why I hate these politicians.
Well, seniors are going to have a hard time getting the program.
But there are a lot of people who look at this and say the government is bloated. It's out of control. It's $37 trillion in debt. Do you think the federal government?
Fair enough.
The federal government, does it need to be cut?
The federal government needs to be made more efficient. In some ways, it should be expanded. In other ways, cut. If you're asking me, is the federal bureaucracy a problem? You're damn right it is. Can we make it?
So he's going in and he's actually making the cuts that y'all messed up with Congress because y'all control the purse strings of America.
More efficient? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Isn't that what Doge was trying to do?
No, but Doge was trying to, you don't make it more efficient by laying off thousands of workers at the Social Security Administration so that seniors can't get their benefits and their concerns addressed in a timely manner. You don't make the system more efficient by threatening to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration, which will clearly impact the health care that our veterans receive.
All right, last thing. Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years.
I would love to know, who are these friends of Bernie Sanders? Who are the friends of Bernie Sanders? Listen. Who are the friends of Bernie Sanders and who is paying for all of this private jet travel? I wonder if it is the millionaires and the billionaires that actually is against what it is that he's saying, or is it just smoke and mirrors? $221,000 just for this recent tour. Spend millions of dollars. They make $174,000 a year, but they spend millions of dollars traveling across the country to preach to people and poor people and liberals about how it is that they need to divest themselves against voting for Trump. Because the billionaires and the millionaires is getting richer, even though he a millionaire.
How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't.
You can't criticize the thing that you hate and then do the same thing that they're doing. You can't criticize the thing that you hate and then do the same thing that they're doing. You can't do that.
Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport.
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United?
Yes.
Waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And
there you have it. They're all capitalists. The only difference between Trump and everybody else is that Trump will tell you, I am a capitalist. They are all capitalists. I do it every day. If I want to go and take care of some business somewhere, or I want to go and travel somewhere, guess what? I schedule it and I go and talk to whoever it is that I need to talk to. I come and fly in after my shows. I take care of business and then I fly out. I jump right on Delta and I do just fine. Just fine. But, that private jet travel, especially for you and your waitress, we call her AOC. That private jet chat, listen, we have to get it. Can y'all imagine? Think about this for a second. Because Trump doesn't take a salary. Trump actually donates his entire salary since he got into office. Think about this for a second. Public servants that control the purse strings of Congress are flying private to go and do protests and advocate against billionaires. Amazing, bro. Amazing. Again, public servants paid for by tax people, but then they'll tell you, no. No tax dollars was used on my flight. No tax dollars was used on my flight. Then who's paying for it? Friends of Bernie Sanders. Friends of Bernie Sanders. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and continue on with the show. Young Reckless says, Anton, that Snow Bunny Live was hard to watch. Jazz tried to clown you and say you don't do for blacks. Start having time on the show when you have guests make their point. Now, I'm not changing the format of the show. Q is the host of the show. She determines who comes on, and she does it alone. Payne says, Anton, I'm 31 and I make $65,000 a year as a farm tech. And I hit the ceiling here What move would you make the transition into a higher paying field, and what field would that be? I'm going into cybersecurity and I'm going into cloud infrastructure or AI machine learning, 100%. That's what I'm doing. But let me say this. You also have to love what you do, because if you're only doing it for money, you're going to burn out. If you're only doing it for the money, you are going to burn out. I thought that farm techs make more than that. So you're not a pharmacist, you're just a farm tech. Is there a difference between a farm tech and a pharmacist? Just wondering, is it a difference between a farm tech and a pharmacist? Who was calling me? Oh, that's that new area code over here in Michigan. Shout out to my girl Mika. Mika says, so nobody noticed Obama's cabinet is all Wall Street people? Yep, we sure did, Mika. We sure did. Oh, he the pharmacist wingman. So why don't you become the pharmacist? Don't pharmacists make a decent amount of money? How long does it take to get to become a farm tech? Nursing, they make a lot of money. They do make a lot of money in nursing. You got to figure out what you're good at, and you got to figure out what you love to do. And that's the way that you go in and figure out how it is that you need to move. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. So we did Biden, Bernie Sanders, Tyre Nichols. Let's jump into this really quickly. Just a couple different things about Trump's nomination for a Fox News judge or a Fox News host for judge. And so I'm going to share that with you guys, but let me make sure that I'm spinning around because I want to make sure that, give me a second. I want to make sure that I got the right account. Don't want no commercials playing. All right, y'all. So check it out. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
Of the people who are filling out the Trump administration, more of these individuals who Trump is tapping to lead in key posts, especially at U.S. attorneys' offices nationwide. So remember, we brought you the news just yesterday that Trump pulled his original pick to be U.S. Surgeon General, replacing that name with someone else. We brought you that news. And now the same is happening for this key and coveted role there in Washington, the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. So live picture there. We now know that Trump has pulled that name, that original name, Ed Martin. He's pulling the nomination. And he is appointing on an interim basis someone that is probably very familiar to you. Fox News host Jeanine Pirro, Judge Jeanine. Here it is. Jim Lokay, our friend there at Fox 5 DC, has it. Trump announcing he's nominating Fox News host Jeanine Pirro as U.S. Attorney for D.C. hours after Ed Martin's nomination was pulled. Trump saying this, if we could take it full. I'm pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Pirro will be appointed interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Jeanine was Assistant District Attorney for Westchester County, New York, and then went on to serve as County Judge and District Attorney, where she was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. Trump says during her time in office, Jeanine was a powerful crusader for victims of crime. Her establishment of the Domestic Violence Bureau in her prosecutor's office was the first in the nation. She excelled in all ways, Trump says. In addition to her legal career, Jeanine previously hosted her own Fox News show, Justice with Judge Jeanine, for 10 years, and is currently co-host of The Five, one of the highest-rated shows on television. Trump says Jeanine is incredibly well qualified for this position and is considered one of the top district attorneys in the history of the state of New York. She is in a class by herself.
Sorry about that. My mic was muted. Let me tell you, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for saying that. Let me tell y'all why this makes sense, right? Because a lot of people on the left will look at this and say, I can't believe it. They're bringing up another Fox host. They think that just because you're on TV or just because you're on a platform or just because you may have a social media presence that you don't have a career that allowed for you to be able to thrive prior to that. That's not what that means. You absolutely had a career. You were a judge. She was an assistant district attorney for the county over in New York. She went to serve as a county judge. She was a district attorney. She was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. She fought for victims of crime, all of this stuff, right? So people have careers that establish credibility, which allows for their voice to take on a much more impactful role when they're on TV. They bring experts on that were former prosecutors or former attorneys and former judges and all of this stuff. So just because you're on TV or because you're a co-host or a host of a show on TV or on Fox News, that just shows that you have more of a conservative perspective, which is something that I can appreciate personally. Does not mean that you are not a very, very good person and a great pick for a district attorney or DC prosecutor. She is very much qualified. A lot of times I was reading the comments because I was looking at both the difference between what was happening as far as the announcements on Fox News versus what was happening on ABC and MSNBC. And it just shows you how ignorant people are. People are very ignorant, very, very ignorant. They don't know no better. I can't believe it. They're putting in a TV personality. No, you're putting in a person that has a litany of experience, but they also host a show now because they're no longer doing some of the things that they used to do. But it doesn't mean that they're not more than qualified for the job that they're being nominated for. She's qualified. Clearly, she's qualified. And so when I see people on the left a lot of times saying the things that they say, it's very interesting to me. It is very interesting to me because I know that they don't know what they're talking about. Look, I'll share it with you, for example. If you go over here on CBS and it says Trump taps Fox News host Jeanine Pirro as an interim top federal prosecutor, and you go in and they say he won't stop until he hires the whole Fox News. What a joke. And then you look at it and it got 159 likes as a result of it. Someone changed his name to the TV channel or the Discovery Channel, HGTV. Stupid. Maybe my cat can be the new AG after Bondi quits, and then they hit the like. When will he appoint Homer Simpson and realize he's a fictional animated character? I saw this and I thought that it was a joke. People, honestly, people will sit there and criticize. They won't go through and talk about what it is that you've done, what you've accomplished. I don't even know if any of these people even know her background whatsoever. They don't know her background whatsoever at all whatsoever. But in addition to that, I also want to share something else with you guys because I want to make sure that we cover multiple different things. Also, over on Bloomberg Television, they were asking Trump some questions inside the White House yesterday, as a matter of fact. And one of the things they were asking him was about the market and Jerome Powell and everything like that. So Trump was saying that we need to start buying stocks now, which is one of the reasons why we have to have a new stock club coming up. Very, very so.
The Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. President, says that you would have to call him for a meeting. Do you plan to meet with him? And what do you think about?
And it's like talking to a wall. He should be.
The Bank of England cut.
Well, the Bank of England cut. China cut. Everybody's cutting, but him. It's I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a shame. I call him Too Late. Too Late Powell. That's his nickname, and it's a shame. It's ridiculous. So meeting, he's always too late. But in this case, it's not going to matter that much because our country is so strong. We're so powerful in terms of economic strength and what we've done. And I'll tell you what, if we didn't have our first term, you wouldn't be. We created things in the first term. We cut more regulations than any president in history. We cut the taxes more than anybody in history. And a very big factor is going to be the tax bill that we have right now, the one big beautiful bill, as we call it, which is all encompassing, the biggest tax cuts ever in history, and bigger than even the first time. And the incentives, even great for the UK, because it'll make us so strong that we're going to be doing more business with you. It's a very important element for taxes, for every aspect, regulation cuts. That bill is, I believe it's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill. And if that happens on top of all of these trade deals that we're doing, this country will hit a point that you better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that.
So that piqued my ears personally when he said that you better go out and buy stocks now. And he did it on the heels of talking about Jerome Powell and how he wasn't doing a rate cut. Now, a lot of people don't understand that of how money works and why they had raised the rates in the first place. One of the reasons that they raised the rates, amongst many, but one of the main reasons that they raised the rates was because inflation was high and they was trying to get it to tamp down inflation. Inflation is only at about 2.3%, which is almost perfect. All right. It's almost at 2.3%. With these new deals starting to come into play, because a lot of people were criticizing Trump and they were saying, well, he got these tariffs. How come he doesn't have a deal on the table? Well, he had to create the framework and then get a deal with the UK first. And then it's going to be a waterfall effect. And then you're going to see a boom in the market. You've seen the impact that this announced trade deal with the UK had on the stock market the minute that he announced it, or the minute that he even said that he was going to announce something huge. And so Jerome Powell needs to cut rates so that he can make money easier to borrow, and then we can get the economy really stimulated and booming. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. We'll be talking about this inside of Stock Club. Let me switch over really quickly because I want to go over to JD Vance since he was in the background. And I just want to cover this really quickly also. JD Vance, let me close that out. Sorry about that, guys. JD Vance had an opportunity to speak, and he was speaking specifically about how Putin was asking for too much. Let me say that again. He said that Putin was asking for too much in order to get a deal done. And this is one of the reasons why the Trump administration was willing to walk away, because it was very difficult for them to be able to get things done and get a ceasefire. And they're not sure if he's really serious about what he's trying to do. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This is what they had to say, and this is what was presented with JD Vance and him having that conversation to provide that clarification.
Reacting to the big news today, Vice President Vance, the second Catholic VP in our history, congratulating Pope Leo XIV on X moments ago, writing this, quote, "I'm sure millions of American Catholics and other Christians will pray for his successful work leading the church. May God bless him." And here in Washington, just a bit earlier, I spoke with the vice president about a range of topics, from what to expect in the months ahead for the economy, given the tariff discussions, to Elon Musk, to his status as President Trump's potential successor and whether or not he wants that job. Here's our interview. Joe Biden came out and did an interview yesterday. He said that the famous Zelensky Oval Office confrontation was, quote, beneath America. What would you say to the former president?
Well, I think it's rich for Joe Biden to comment on anything that we're doing when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, because of course, under Biden's administration, Russia launched the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And if we wanted to take advice from...
Whenever you want to say something, sorry about that, I was muted again. Whenever you want to say something as an insult to somebody that you think is out of touch or that they're completely disconnected from the rest of the world, you usually say something like, well, that's very rich of you. It basically shows that that person is completely removed from what the reality is and what we're trying to solve for with this particular situation. So anytime you want to insult somebody that has resources, or you want to say that they're out of touch, and if you really want to insult somebody that's out of touch, then say it to somebody that's poor. And then they really gonna get offended. Well, that's mighty rich of you to say something like that. Shout out to you.
Anybody on foreign policy, especially foreign policy in Europe, it would not be Joe Biden. So I wish Joe Biden the best. I don't really care what he has to say about American foreign policy because so much of what he actually did was a total disaster. If we just did the opposite of what Joe Biden did, I think we'd have one of the most successful foreign policy administrations in a very long time. So he can spend his time on the beach or doing whatever Joe Biden does. We'll continue trying to fix the problems that he created.
So sticking with Russia and Ukraine, yesterday you spoke with the Munich Security Conference here in D.C.
Yeah.
You said that Russia is essentially asking for too much in a deal to settle the war with Ukraine. So what do we do now? Do we walk away from this situation, or is it time to ramp up our military support for Ukraine?
Well, we'll see what happens, of course. But look, we knew that Russia would ask for too much because the Russian perception of the war is on the ground. They're winning. And of course, the Ukrainians would like to do a ceasefire, in part because things have not been going so well for the Ukrainians the last few months. And our attitude is we don't want Ukraine to collapse. We obviously want Ukraine to remain a sovereign country, but Russia can't expect to be given territory that they haven't even conquered yet. And that's one of the things that they put down in that initial peace plan. So I actually think it's progress that they're even talking at all, the Russians and the Ukrainians. I think it's progress that they're putting concrete peace plans on the table. But we knew that the Russians' first offer would be too much. We knew that they would ask for more than was reasonable to give. That's how negotiations often work. I'm not bothered by that. What would bother me is if we conclude that the Russians are not engaging in the negotiation in good faith. And if that happens, yeah, we're going to walk away. The president's going to say, we're out of this thing. And what that's going to mean fundamentally, I think, is that both Russia and Ukraine are going to be left to settle this thing without the advice and without the mediation of the United States. I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for us. I don't think it's good for Russia or Ukraine. But we can only lead these guys to the well. We can't force them to drink. And that's what the president has done. And I do think we've had some diplomatic breakthroughs. Again, the fact the Russians are offering a peace plan at all, that's a breakthrough. The fact the Ukrainians are offering a concrete proposal, that's a breakthrough, but we've got to try to get these sides a little bit closer together to achieve a lasting peace. We're not there yet. We'll keep working on it until we decide that we ultimately can't make any more progress.
I'm wondering how long it's going to take for this deal to actually get through. Will it get through within the next year? Will it get done within the next 2 years? Will you actually get a ceasefire? Are you going to have a real proposal? Because even our mineral rights deal, a lot of that is hinging on this whole peace talk and whether we're able to get this solved between Russia and Ukraine. And this war has been going on for way too long. We have another anniversary. What?
And then you would walk away.
We would.
All right. You were in India recently, and there was some feeling that that might lead to one of the trade agreements announced. And we just heard the UK agreement with the United States.
Sure.
How concerned is the administration about the potential for nuclear war between India and Pakistan?
Well, look, we're concerned about any time nuclear powers collide and have a major conflict. What we've said, what Secretary Rubio said, and certainly the president has said, is we want this thing to de-escalate as quickly as possible. We can't control these countries, though. Fundamentally, India has its gripes with Pakistan. Pakistan has responded to India. What we can do is try to encourage these folks to de-escalate a little bit, but we're not going to get involved in the middle of war that's fundamentally none of our business and has nothing to do with America's ability to control it. You know, America can't tell the Indians to lay down their arms. We can't tell the Pakistanis to lay down their arms. And so we're going to continue to pursue this thing through diplomatic channels. Our hope and our expectation is that this is not going to spiral into a broader regional war or, God forbid, a nuclear conflict. But sure, we're worried about these things. But I think the job of diplomacy, but also the job of cooler heads in India and Pakistan, is to make sure this doesn't become a nuclear war. If it happened, of course, it would be disastrous. Right now, we don't think that's going to happen.
And I like the fact that he made clear that we are not going to insert ourselves into business that is not ours, because America needs to focus on America right now. And America does not need to be sticking its nose into other people's business. Now, I do like the fact that they are basically saying, hey, listen, cooler heads and saner heads need to prevail. We know that y'all got issues with each other. I'm not even sure why Indians and Pakistanis have issues with each other, but I like the fact that he said that we're not going to be funding, we're not going to be sending money, we're not going to get involved, we're not going to pick a side, we're not going to participate in this whole situation. Y'all going to have to solve it for yourselves, because y'all big girls and boys.
All right, let's talk about the U.S. economy, as some of your colleagues are heading to Switzerland to try to work a deal with China. Why was the UK deal first? Is it the sort of the model for other deals? And why not go to the EU first, a bigger deal?
Well, first, I think we have a great relationship with the United Kingdom. You know, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister visited a few weeks ago. We had very good conversations with them. I think they were very responsive. I mean, look, President Trump has said very simply, all he wants at a lot of these trade negotiations is fairness, is reciprocity. He wants other markets to be as fair to American workers, frankly, as America has been to these foreign workers for decades, in some cases generations. And the United Kingdom was very willing to work with us. I think we had a great rapport with them. They were very open to hearing our concerns. And of course, we heard some of their issues too. It was a good conversation. It was a good negotiation. It led to a successful result.
So with China, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has said that, he doesn't want to decouple. He just wants fair trade. But when you look at China and the trust issues, they're our biggest adversary. How can they be our biggest trading partner at the same time?
J.D. Vance popularized that term. I'm going to just say that too. When he corrected Biden and he said, well, he corrected Kamala Harris and Biden, and he said, listen, they're not our enemies, they're our adversaries. We may not necessarily see eye to eye, but we don't want to look at each other as enemies. Now everybody is saying adversary.
Well, first of all, what the president has said is clearly we need to rebalance global trade. American workers and American businesses have lost a lot by absorbing all of this trade from other countries when these countries don't take nearly as much from America as we take from them. That's a fundamentally losing proposition, and we're going to change it. And of course, China has been the worst offender. But I think that, look, what has happened right now, the last couple of months, is basically trade between China and the United States has stopped completely. The president has been very clear. He thinks that we have the cards, of course, because we take much more from China than China does from us. But we're going to have a conversation with them. We'll see where it leads. And ultimately, we just want to deal with any country, whether it's China or anybody else, that makes American workers and American businesses in a better position. We just want a fairer deal for American workers, and that's what President Trump is fighting for. I think that it's very achievable with a whole host of countries, but that's the guiding light.
So the president said, maybe American kids should have $3 instead of 30 or whatever the number was. Do you agree? Do you tell the people of this country that you need to make some sacrifices in order to reorganize this?
We should be saying it, but people are going to get offended.
Well, I think the president's point here is that, yeah, we do need to become more self-reliant, and that's not going to happen overnight, and it's not always going to be easy, Martha. But what I'd ask people is not whether they want $2 or $5 or $20 for their kids. I'd ask American moms and dads, would you like to be able to go into a pharmacy and know that the drugs your kids need are actually available to you as an American parent? Would you like to, God forbid, if your country goes to a war and your son or daughter is sent off to fight, would you like to know that the weapons that they have are good American-made stuff, not made by a foreign adversary? What President Trump is talking about is bringing self-reliance back to the United States economy. We haven't had it pretty much in my entire life. My entire life, Martha, we've lost jobs, we've lost supply chain, critical minerals, critical goods have been manufactured by our adversaries. All the president is saying is, wouldn't you like to live in a country that is self-reliant and strong again? And his policies are going to make that happen.
And I agree with that. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Says, good early weekend, Anton, since the Patreon is blocked in my country. This is the best that I can do. Thank you for your chat and amazing people. Thank you. Patreon is blocking your country? All right, we're going to have to solve for that. Send me an email if you can at antondaniels413@gmail.com. All right, let's get to the part that I really want to talk about. Bill Gates. Bill Gates is saying that he's going to give away all of his wealth, virtually all of his wealth, by 2045. 2045. All right. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to I love talking about money. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. This is Bill Gates and what he said about giving away all of his wealth. Check it out.
Came to Rome, I sat down with Bill Gates for an exclusive interview where the billionaire revealed he is giving away 99% of his money. And he says his charitable Gates Foundation will undergo a major change that will result in shutting down by 2045. His organization, of course, is devoted to fighting poverty, disease, and inequity, and is now, as a result of today's announcement, doubling its spending on those causes to $200 billion over the next 20 years. We had to begin with the question you may be asking. Why now?
by deciding to spend all this money in the next 20 years, we can get a lot more done.
The original plan for the Gates Foundation, established and funded by Bill and Melinda Gates and backed by additional billions from Warren Buffett, was to keep the doors open and the dollars flowing for.
Some people in the chat is saying this is all a tax break. Think about what y'all say before y'all say it. I'm not the biggest Bill Gates fan myself. What tax break do you need when you're going to be dead? What tax break do you need when you're dead? I know y'all hate him. I know that everything is going to be bad and everything is conspiracy theory. And y'all don't want to actually listen or hear, because I haven't heard what he's going to say myself either. And he's a part of the Giving Pledge. And the Giving Pledge is from people like him and Warren Buffett that then say that they want to give away all of their wealth. They want to give away all of their wealth because they can't take it with them when they die. How do you get a tax break when you give away everything that you have? What tax break do you get when you give away everything? What is he in trouble with? Exactly. What is he in trouble with? What do you... This is why I wanted to have this conversation. But let me play the video and then we're going to go from there. All right.
2 decades after Bill's death. Instead, as of today's announcement, the plan is to give away virtually all of my wealth, Bill writes, over the next 20 years. And if you couldn't guess, we're talking about a lot of wealth.
I'm super excited that that'll be over 200 billion that we'll give away during that time period, and that we'll be able to save tens of millions of lives.
And you're not going to miss it.
No, I won't. I hope I'm still alive when we finish the 20 years, but I'll save a little bit to be able to buy hamburgers as much as I need.
The $100 billion the foundation has already spent since 2000 has helped cut the rate of death among children under 5 in half.
This is a Philips ultrasound.
Thanks in part to its investments in new technologies, like the ones he showed us at his offices in Palm Desert, California.
What are you proudest of?
Well, the work in vaccines would be the top of the list, because at the turn of the century, kids weren't getting vaccines for diarrhea and pneumonia, and that's now saved millions and millions of lives. So it's
okay. So some people, for example, in the chat is saying this is bullshit. All right. What would you suggest he do with the money? Since all of y'all are smarter, you're wiser, you know everything that goes on behind the scenes. There's nothing that anybody could say that is a positive announcement that would satisfy y'all at all. You saying the rats is running? What rats are running? Bill, let me look at how old Bill Gates is. Let me see something. Bill Gates is 70. He's 70. Well, he'll be 70 this year. If you've been able to live till 70 years old and be able to do what you want to do as much as you want to do it, what is there to run from? You do realize that he could go to any country in the world. He can go to a country. Let's say, for example, he did something unsavory and he wants to go to a country where you can't extradite. He can do that. What are y'all talking about? He can go and build a fucking island in the middle of the ocean if he wants to. What are you running from when you're worth over $200 billion and you can go anywhere in the world when you want to? What is it that what are you running from? What are you talking about? Pavia says, AD, why is he doing this now? I don't know. I would like to actually listen to what he says before I come up with a conclusion as to why somebody is doing it. I would like to hear it first so I can make an informed decision. Black is back. You so dumb. You've been the dumbest motherfucker that I done seen inside of the chat for a long time. You ain't never been in the loop. That's why you keep creating new accounts all the time. You don't even got a profile picture. You've been so dumb the whole time that you done been in here. Please stop it. You've been dumb and dumber. You Jim Carrey. I would like to hear what he says in the interview before I make an informed decision. Let's hear it first, and then we will see what's going on.
You know, it's a simple little vial like this one.
Portable coolers and go-anywhere drones help deliver those vials where they're needed. But Gates now worries fewer people will be getting them, not because of the distances, but because of the governments involved.
It looks like we'll be able to raise less money now than we did in the past because the U.S. at least is tentatively not supporting buying those vaccines, and other countries in Europe that have always been substantially more generous are also cutting back.
It sounds like in part you're doing this because you're looking at the world and you're looking at this country and they're doing less. So the Gates Foundation and other foundations need to do more.
Well, you always want more money going into these things where you're saving lives for a few $1,000s. And I'll be an advocate that when President Bush created a lot of these programs for HIV, malaria, and some other things, that should be maintained.
What's it been like working with the Trump administration? I know you recently had dinner with the president. Did anything come out of that?
Yeah, so I talked to him about.
Somebody says, Anton Lovely says, AD, if you support Bill Gates, I'm unsubscribing. Listen, I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't care either way. I don't give a fuck about Bill Gates. I don't support him. I don't not support him, but I don't give a fuck if you unsubscribe too. Listen, you don't have to announce it. Let me do you a favor. How about this? Give me a second. I got you. We can go. I'll do it for you. Here you go. There you go. That way you ain't got to worry about announcing it anymore. You could just go ahead and do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. Okay? There you go. Give a fuck.
Work on HIV and the great innovations. And so, it's a great discussion. Since then, some of the programs have been cut off, and I'm hoping both with the president or the Congress,
don't threaten me with a good time,
to get them to restore some of those aid activities.
If they don't, is the Gates Foundation large enough to take the place of what the government had been doing?
No. So their money for global health was 4 times what the Gates Foundation.
So if this money goes away, and you were talking about millions of lives saved, can you put a number on the lives potentially lost?
Yeah, absolutely. So we should be going from 5 million children dying a year over the next 5 years to 4 million. And now with these cuts, if they're not reversed, we'll go to over 6 million dying. So instead of going down, we'll go back up.
Wow. So it's a difference of 2 million lives.
Absolutely.
Besides giving it all away, Gates is marking a series of major personal milestones. His foundation is turning 25. The company he founded, Microsoft, is turning 50. And Bill Gates, the man, no longer the child prodigy, is turning 70.
He didn't look 70.
What are you doing to celebrate?
When my birthday comes in late October, I'll gather hundreds of my friends, and maybe they'll roast me, or we'll just stay up late.
For Bill Gates, there's no such thing as traditional retirement. But today's announcement, he admits, almost certainly marks the beginning of the last chapter of his career.
I think that once you get to this point in your life, you've lived a good life. You've done what you want to do, and you start to try to find purpose in things beyond money. Money means things to people, the actual physical money. Money means things to people that haven't made enough money. In my opinion, I believe that money means things to people that haven't made enough money. When you have enough money to where you can do what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you fulfilled every dream, you've traveled to every continent, you can buy any boat. How much bigger of a boat do you need? How many more cars do you need? All of that stuff, right? We're still trying to quench that thirst. We're like children trying to be grown. You know what I'm saying? And so we think that the more money that we make, which it does help and it is supposed to be a tool, that we're going to have more happiness. But happiness is found within. And then the money that you make ultimately allows for you to do the things that you need to do or to do the things that you want to do. I don't think that Bill Gates is concerned about what other people think. I don't feel like he needs to buy another home, that he's tripping about it or anything like that. I think that Bill Gates wants to leave his mark on the world. And he also realized that he cannot take it with him. So he's created a plan that allows for him to be able to succeed or have a succession of how his resources and what he's been able to accumulate is going to affect the world. Now, what y'all say is positive or negative, that's a completely different conversation. That's up to y'all. Y'all can say, oh, I don't like what he did on here, or I do like what he did over here. For me, I just try to look at it holistically and say, why do people do what they do? You know what I'm saying? Because we always imagine, well, what would it be like to be a millionaire? And then when you get to be a millionaire, you say, well, what would it be like to be a billionaire? And it's like, I think that you hit a threshold in life where you just want to start impacting people. You want to do good. You want to have a great legacy. You want to ultimately shape the world and whatever it is that you're passionate about. And I think that that's why a lot of these people take the Giving Pledge. I think that they've also, because think about it. If you're one of the smartest people that's been able to create this product that allowed for you to change the world or make life-changing money or God-changing money, right? But then they say that they want to give it all away. For me, I'm a lot more introspective. And then I say to myself, well, why? Why are people like Warren Buffett, who is worth over $180 billion, but he worked all the way up until he was 94 years old, and he's already said that he wants to give away the majority of his money? How come he didn't give it away to his family? How come he didn't give it away to his kids? And then on a microscopic level, on a much smaller level, I look at how people fight over grandma's home. I've seen people fight over a little bit of a pension or a little bit. I've seen people fight. It'd be 6 people fighting over $50,000 that was left inside of a trash bag that great grandpa left over, and then they be ready to crash out. They divest themselves from the family. They get into whole fights with each other. They be willing to kill each other. Your medical bill be bigger than whatever it is that he left over. I've seen people fight over pennies. I've seen people be so obsessed with money to where they're able and willing to do anything for it. And so I'm always introspective. Okay, well, why didn't he leave his family billions? Why didn't they leave? Why did they only say, okay, well, you're going to get this, but we giving the rest away to the rest of the world, or we going to give it to this charity, or we going to make sure that we try to solve for malaria, or we going to try to solve for this, or we going to try to solve for infant death, or we going to try to do whatever it is. I always want to know why, like super duper rich people, where do they get their satisfaction from? Because once you on this earth he's been on this earth for almost 70 years. Warren Buffett has been on this earth for almost a century. They've seen everything. Everything. They've seen everything. And so I'm always more introspective, like, dang, what is the meaning of life then? Was the meaning of life for a lot of us only to try to make as much money as possible? What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? That's always what I'm trying to figure out. I think that it's a deeper thing. We get caught up in the bullshit. We so easily distracted. Oh, he created mosquito, or he farming mosquitoes or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. I'm trying to see it from the 30,000 bird's eye view, and I'm trying to understand it differently. To an extent, Molly, we all play God. That's why I said that we was made in his image. That's why we wasn't supposed to eat from the tree of fruit and evil, to know the difference between good and evil. We all play God. That's why we have children, right? And then we mold them and we shape them and we teach them in our image and we try to show them what it is that we do. We try to change our neighborhoods to what we think makes the most sense. We try to put people in office who we think makes the most sense. In a way, we are all playing God on a much, much smaller scale. Some of us don't have the power. Thank God. Some of us don't have the amount of power and all of that. Chase and 10 says, AD, does money buy happiness? To an extent, yeah. And then I think you reach a threshold or you reach a ceiling where you try to discover what more there is to life than just making money. That's why I'm in Springfield right now. I work hard, but then I want to go out there and I'm trying to figure out, well, what else is there out there? How are other people living? How can I impact people? I've given away more money than I could ever imagine that I would ever be able to give away. But then you try to discover, well, what else? Why are people thinking the way that they're thinking? And how are these people living? And what is it that I need to experience and what cultural norms allow for me to be able to get there? I'm very blessed to get to a point in my life to where I can search and I discover what makes more sense versus just what is the number that you have to hit to where you make enough money and you say, you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I'm already happy. I'm super happy. I'm blessed. My daughter is blessed. Everybody around me is blessed. Everybody make money. Money absolutely buys happiness. Depends on how you get it and it depends on what you do with it. Everything is conditional. Everything is conditional. Super blessed, incredibly blessed. And so you stop making it more about happiness. Like I love nice things. I love being fresh or whatever, but y'all know most of the days I just wear a black t-shirt. I had people were saying, Anton, you materialistic, and they don't even know I wear black t-shirts most of the time. So then they start seeing me in black t-shirts. They said, man, why you always only got on a black t-shirt? Because I like black t-shirts. I just like black t-shirts. It's nice. It's a good material. This t-shirt costs a lot of money. All of my t-shirts cost a lot of money. And it's great quality. And I just like black t-shirts. I just like them. It's simple. It's cool. What number is enough? Says Keisha. I don't have a number no more. I don't really care about numbers no more. My number from a retirement quality of life perspective is as long as I can generate $100,000 a month for the rest of my life to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do, because that is the number that I've come up with that allows for me to be able to really be able to experience life and do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so then I've invested enough money to where it puts off roughly $1.2 million per year. And then I've adjusted for what that would look like in 30 to 40 years from now. And then I take into consideration my daughter and everything that's in my family and stuff like that. And so I think that once you hit the threshold of $1.2 million per year, roughly $100,000 per month, I'm okay with that. I don't need, my lifestyle doesn't require for me to need much more than that. It's a good life. It's a really good life. Anything more than that? What can't you do with $100,000 per month? You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, I don't need that much. I just said that because I wanted to adjust for what the future would look like. But what else do you need for more than that? And so you build houses and you change lives and you build in your community, you give away money, you go and visit places, you travel, you buy cars, you get all of the watches that you want to get, and then what? And then what, A-Done? What would you do with it? What would you do? At what point do you say, you know what? I got all of the cars. You can only drive so fast. Okay, so I'm gonna go fast in an electric car, and then I'm gonna go fast in a flat six, and then I'm gonna go fast in an SRT Hellcat, and then I'm gonna go fast in this, and then what? I got on shorts right now. They're not even hoochie daddy shorts. I got on regular shorts. They say you can hire people. I've already hired people, and I give a lot of money to my friends. So that's all I'm saying. Like they say a yacht is coming. I don't want a yacht. I'm not into yachts. Like I'm not into boats. You know what I'm saying? Like I like cars. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. So yeah, man, I just want to go and live life and experience life. I want to teach people what it is that I've done in order to be successful. That's why I got the Patreon. And I want to run up a bag. I want to keep running up a bag. All right. I have a lot of sex. Sex is good. Sex is good for the soul. Give me $100,000 a month, some good sex, and a good car, and I can figure life out. I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? Then that's what. Now I'm on side quest. Honestly, at 43, now I'm on a side quest. Everything I do is side quests. You head over here, you do this. You head over there, you take care of business. You do whatever it is that you want to do when you want to do. Give me a lot of sex, $100,000 a month, and a decent watch. Make sure that my daughter is healthy, my family is taken care of, and good friends and family. Give me a little bit of head here and there, and I'm good. I ain't gonna complain. So we are always going to be friends. Black is back. We are just like the people on After Hours. We snap at each other, and then we come back, and then we make up, and then we're all back friends again. So I snap on the chat snaps back on me, and then we all come back together and we say we love each other, right? Oh, listen, y'all. This is what I want to say to y'all. Money is a tool. Don't worship it. I've gotten to the point in my life, I've lived old enough and I've made a decent amount, not the richest person in the world. I've made a decent amount to understand. I think I'm figuring out what the meaning of life is. Money is just a tool. That's it. Don't love it. Don't worship it. Don't do anything for it. Don't sell your soul for it. Don't do something that you wouldn't do out of character in order to get a couple more dollars. It will not satisfy it if you do not have good character to go along with it. Do not worship money. It's just a tool. It comes, it goes. You can get some more, and it should not be the determining factor for whether you're a good person or not. Don't sell your soul for money. Don't sell your soul for money. I've been very blessed to see and be able to develop the character that allows me to say, do not do something that you wouldn't normally do for a couple dollars. It's not worth it. Had a guy come up to me yesterday. And it was interesting because I was going downstairs and I was going to get something to eat. And he said, man, I see your watch. I see your watch. I said, oh, okay, thank you. I seen that he was a little dusty. And he looked like he was a little sleep deprived. And, I'm at MGM Springfield, so I'm actually staying at the hotel casino. So they got a whole lot of restaurants or whatever. And so I was going down to get something to eat. And he said, yeah, man, I got this watch. It's probably like $200-300. I'll give it for you, give me $75. And so I knew what he wanted it for so that he can go back to the blackjack table because obviously he had got cracked and he admitted it. And I said, man, what you gambling on? He said, oh, man, I just want to get back in the game. I want to get back in the game. I want to get back in the game. I've seen a lot of fiends. I've seen a lot of people on some other stuff, right? And I said, nah, because me, I give money to everybody. But I can't give it to you so that you can continue to have yourself sleep deprived and looking crazy. oh man, please, man, I'll give it to you for 50. I'll give it to you for 50, bro. Just look, man, look at the watch. It's like a $200 watch. I'll give it to you for 50. I said, nope. I said, go home, dog. Go home. I said, I would give you the money if I knew you was going home. I would give you the money if I knew you were going home. And he looked at me. And he probably lied to me. And he said, all right, I'll go home. I said, how much did you lose today? He said, $200. I said, all right. We went over to the Uber. I called an Uber and I paid for the Uber. And I had him put his address in there. And I gave him $200 and I sent him home. That's what I did. Now, some people will say, well, Anton, he's probably just going to cancel the Uber, or he's probably just going to come right back and then put it all on there. And that very well may be true, but I feel like I did my part. That very well may be true. And I can't tell people what to do after I do it. Once it leaves my hands, once I do the thing that I think is the right thing to do, there's nothing else I could do about that. That may be true. He has to fight that battle on his own, and there's nothing that I could do about it. But I tried to do my part, and I tried to do the right thing. So I gave him his money. I let him keep his watch. I gave him the money, and then I sent him home. And hopefully, I prayed for him. As I shut the door, I prayed for him, and hopefully, God intercedes, and then he gives him some level of an epiphany, and hopefully, he changes his life. I did my part. I did my part. So it's not a lot of money. And he probably did come back the next day, but he got to live with that. Think about it like this. And this is the way I see it. The way that you show that you love God is by showing that you love people on this earth. And somebody probably prayed for that money or deliverance, or when they was at their lowest, they probably said something like, God, if you just do this, or God, I would go home, or God, I would do that. And maybe God answered his prayers, and I don't know, because I just go with what my heart is. I talk to God before I do stuff, and I ask God, and I ask him to show me direction. So what if God said, okay, give him a chance, or I'm going to give you a chance, but I'm going to send Anton over here in order to do it, right? And I'm not so arrogant enough to think that I am God or something like that. But my point is that maybe God answered his prayer through me, or he gave him another option. Now, what he does with that, or what he does after that, because he made a promise to God, what he does after that is on him. That is on him. It doesn't mean anything to me, because God blesses me and he's going to always be my provider. So maybe that's on him, but he has to live with that. He has to make that decision. He has to go about doing things the right way. And that's what I did. I just try to do the thing that I say that I think that God has directed me to do. All right. So that's how I kind of look at life. That's how I think about things. You never know. I could have been the angel for the day. Maybe he hadn't been home in a while, and his daughter or his girl was looking for him, or his wife was looking for him. Maybe that was an opportunity for them to see him. I don't know. Anyways, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I'm going to try to curate a show that's a little bit better for the people tonight on After Hours. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. And thank you to everybody that supported me through Cash App. I appreciate y'all too. Oh, let me read some of the super chats. Tyrone says, AD, for the show, I just wanted to announce that I'm staying subscribed. It's just announcing that we're doing things that seem to be so popular. Thank you. I appreciate you, big dog. Latrell says, just giving you a shout out, broski. Appreciate you. Thank you. Moses King says, what up, AD? What would you recommend for life insurance? Term or whole life? I don't know a whole lot about life insurance. Let me see something. Term insurance, two different temporary coverage. Term life insurance is temporary coverage. It provides coverage for a defined period such as 10, 20, or 30 years. Oh, and whole life. I will get whole life. Life insurance is so somebody could be able to bury you. It's not there. It's to make sure that you're not leaving everybody under duress. If you got kids, if you got a wife, they shouldn't be under duress if you leave. That's what I look at life insurance for. So I don't need life insurance per se for myself because I would be dead. So life insurance is to ensure that everybody else is covered and taken care of in any event that something happened to you. Pharmacists make an average of $125K here in Arizona, but that takes almost 8 years to do so. I'd rather be in tech and build computers. I love it. There you go. Well, you answered your own question. Are you more comfortable receiving love these days? I am, Messi. I remember you crashed out because you got too much love on the live stream once. You're going to take this love, sir. I am very comfortable with love now. I am very, very comfortable. I was uncomfortable because I was always a person that did for other people. And so, you know, it's kind of one of them things that you're not used to a lot of people doing a whole lot for you. So I was kind of that person that didn't like to celebrate my birthday. I try to be low key. I didn't say anything about it. And I was that way since I was a little kid. Like, I'm not the type of person that wants to like, oh, my birthday is coming up or I'm celebrating the whole month and nothing like that. I had to learn. I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot, a whole lot. I've changed a lot about myself and hopefully more for the positive than the negative. I'm more patient. I'm more relaxed. I don't take things as serious anymore. When people say negative stuff about me, I might be petty here and there and clap back or something, but for the most part, I let them breathe. I don't trip out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen this one guy yesterday. He had typed something in my chat about how he hated me and all of that. And I went over to his channel and he was riding his bike and he ain't even have a car. And I was like, oh, like he lashing out at me because of his circumstance. He probably just had a bad day. Maybe he bent the rim on his bike. Maybe it was cold and it was raining that day and he still had to ride his bike to work. He still had to go to work. And I went to his channel and I was like, oh, so what I'm going to do? Clap back at him? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to do? What you going to do? Get mad at him or whatever? It's like, you just kind of let people be whatever it is. Sometimes you just like, that's cool. Let him get his shit off. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I can't wait to kick it with y'all tonight. We're going to have a better show tonight. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.